For today's CVs on music professionals, I have Phoebe Ong, a veteran singer with 20 years of performing experiences. She shared with us on how she transitioned from a super shy introvert to singing on stage, her struggles going from part-time to full-time singing, and the mindset required to have singing as a career. Always being curious about the life of a singer? Don't miss this.
All right, so today we're very happy to invite somebody whom I've known for a very long time. She is a professional singer of, I think, many years. We'll get her to introduce herself later. But I think we have always been on a very professional level of relationship until maybe recently, I would say. I start to realize, hey, this Phoebe, she has something interesting. And that's why I thought about interviewing you, because I think in one of our conversations before, you mentioned about like how you used to be very shy before you became a professional singer. So that's really interesting, I think, for many of our viewers. So Phoebe, would you like to introduce yourself? Let us know, for example, how many years have you been in this industry, and the kind of songs you sing. Yeah.
So I started back in 2003, which means it's been 20 years. Yeah, it's been 20 years. But I started out singing part-time.
Okay.
Singing part-time at Minge餐厅, Wuchuan. So I only turned full-time in 2009. Yeah.
Oh, that's
2000.
6 years of part-time.
Yes. So while singing part-time, I was working full-time.
What did you work as before?
I was in marketing. I was in corporate comms. Yes, yeah,
Okay.
which I enjoyed as well. But singing is like my golf. So it's like after work,
Golf.
after work you go and sing. It really relaxes you.
Yeah. We have a lot of full-timers in other industries coming into singing just for fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I turned full-time in 2009. So that was when I quit my full-time job.
Sorry, wait.
Yeah, so I quit my job in 2009 and I switched to full-time performing. Yeah, so all the way until now.
But what took you so long?
Took me so long to turn full-time.
Yeah.
I think it was the fear, the stereotypical how people will tell you that, you want to sing for a living. You sure you can earn enough money in Singapore? And how stable it is? Are you sure or not?
Who are these people?
Like sometimes I'll talk to friends, and of course, the more seniors one, the elderly, they have their own kind of thinking. In Singapore, you need to have a degree, you need to have a stable job in the office. And my own fear, I guess, is generally in Asia countries, even if people don't tell you in the face, but you know that they have this certain expectation of you. Yes. So and that time I was still young, so I thought to myself, what if I fail? What if I fail? And I just graduated. I graduated in 2001, I think. So, and it was just starting out, trying to get a stable income and everything. So still figuring myself out. I didn't know what I really wanted as well. But the only thing I know is that I enjoyed singing. I really love singing. But making that my career and doing it for full time has never crossed my mind until 2008, 2009. Yeah.
So what happened at that crossroad? Like what made you decide, like, hey, maybe I can do this full time?
It was the fact that I hated what I was doing. I hated my job then. So I was doing corporate communications. I mean, I love my job, but it's just that I hated my boss then.
Usually it's the people.
Yes, usually it's the people. So, and very stressed, very unhappy at work. But then every single time, once I know that it's knock off time and time for me to go singing, right? No matter how tired I am, I'll still be like, oh yes, like finally I can look forward to
Like rejuvenated
singing.
for the day.
Yes, correct. So that started me to think, what if I try to explore singing full time?
Mm,
Um, can it work? And what do I have to lose? That
mm,
kind of thing.
mm,
Yeah. So I guess what was like driving me to the edge already. So I
Mm.
guess that kind of pushed me to jump into singing full time.
and I think also because you had 6 years of part-timing,
Yes.
you had your connections
Mm.
and you sort of know how it worked in the industry, or more or less to get gigs, for yourself, and you sort of could tell how you could possibly get more gigs, or were you not so, certain that you could get many gigs at that point, but you jumped nevertheless. Which one is it?
I wasn't very sure I could have sufficient gigs, to be
Okay.
honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Mm.
while I was singing part time, it was all along in more of the Chinese scene. You see, it was
Mm.
民歌餐厅.
Mm.
So majority of my repertoire was like Mendo, Canto, Pop.
Mm.
But I really wanted. I came from a convent. I'm a convent girl, so it's like I started to think like, what if I try to dabble in the other side of the scene, which is the
Oh.
English pop,
Yeah.
the rock and pop scene,
Right.
which I enjoy.
Mm.
So, and with Mingle Chanting, there's only so much English I could do. So I
Because
started,
it's more Mandarin based.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So I started thinking, maybe I should try out at the English scene, the pub scene as well.
Mm.
Yeah, and more of the corporate and wedding performing scene also.
Right.
Yeah, but honestly, I didn't have a lot of contact then. So what I did was, back then, internet wasn't so common and so widespread. So actually did cold calling. I cold
Oh
call
my god! I
like
did something similar, but yeah, tell your
Yeah.
story.
so I did cold call to restaurants, to pubs and everything,
Our stories are actually very similar. Okay,
So
but
you did too. Yeah, and ask them whether they need like live band or anything.
did you go by Yellow Pages?
I
And
forgot where I went to already lah. Maybe I did.
I mean, it's either the internet at that time or Yellow Pages, right?
Yeah. It was these two. And also there used to be this forum which was very,
Okay.
remember it was like was it soft or something? It was
Yes,
a music forum.
SOFT. Yes. Yeah.
So what I did, so besides cold calling, I actually went to the forum. I just posted there. I said that my name is so and so. I'm how old. I've how many years of experience, and I am looking to try out the pub scene and doing more English repertoire.
Mm.
So if anybody is interested to get a female singer
Mm.
to form a band, and if you'd like me to audition, please feel free to contact me.
Mm.
Yeah.
Very active steps
Yes.
to put yourself out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which was very hard because, like you say, I was quite an introvert. And I
Okay.
was quite shy in a way. So
Mm.
that was a huge step for me lah. Yeah, but it worked.
Because what happened?
So really, a couple of bands contacted me to go for audition,
okay.
which I did. I think I went for 2 or 3 audition, and I got into one of them, and that started me in the pub scene. So my first pub gig was at this pub called Lock, Stock and Barrel behind Raffles Hotel. I still remember.
Wow, that sounds very atas.
No, it's not. It's not that at all. Yeah.
Okay. So who were your band members that time?
Most of them are not active
Anymore?
anymore. Yeah, but
okay.
it was full of dramas up and down. But it was a good learning experience lah. And like being new in the English scene, I had to front the band. So you
speak in English.
Yes.
Interact in English.
Yes.
Yeah.
And really be the front woman, to PR with the guests and everything. So it was quite like you throw yourself out there. So it was quite a steep learning curve, but it was memorable lah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you already had, quite, I would say, an expensive repertoire in English before you jumped into the English pub scene, right? Because otherwise, how do you manage that?
Like extensive in a way that I do know a lot of English songs.
Yeah.
Because I grew up listening to a
Mm.
lot of them.
Mm.
But performing wise, not really. Because I didn't really get to perform those at Mingle Chanting.
Yeah.
But like you said, it helped lah, because my database inside, like I really have a lot of English songs.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I also wanted to know, right, when you were transiting to full-time music,
Yeah.
right, you must have at some point, I mean, I'm speaking from experience, obviously, felt a bit poor.
Yes. Yes.
So, what kind of struggles, other than financially maybe being a bit tight, what kind of other struggles did you face during the transition,
Um, like you asked me earlier, what pushes you to turn to full time?
Yeah.
So it was probably the desperation I felt at work, right? That pushed me over the edge. And at the same time, I was asking myself, I think I was about 28 then. So I asked myself, I mean, I wasn't attached then. I had no kids.
Mm.
In a way, I don't really have any attachment.
Mm.
So what do I have to lose?
Mm.
In Singapore, and most you don't. If it doesn't work out, then you can always go back and find another job.
Mm.
So what I did was quite YOLO lah in the Gen Z's term, which was I quit my job. I went to Australia for holiday.
You splash out first.
Yeah. And then I came back, and then I informed my dad.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, by the way, I'm not going back to work anymore like that.
Yeah, I just told him, I said, Pa, I'm going to try to sing full time. Why I think that I will get away with it, because my dad loves singing as well.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
he is a very good singer. So maybe I got the influence from him, I don't know.
Mhm,
So I told him, I said that I just want to try singing full time. And if it doesn't work out, then I will go back to work.
Mm.
Because during those years that I was singing part-time, I did get a degree just to kind of like pacify my dad also, just not to make him so worried.
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, don't worry, I'm just going to try it out, singing full-time. And in Singapore, it's quite impossible for you to starve to death anyway. So if it doesn't work out, I promise you I will go back and find a proper job. It's okay. I've got a degree to fall back on. It shouldn't be that much of a problem. So he just told me that, okay, Lord, then you just try it out. If cannot, then you just go back to office job. So and then that's when I started cold calling and everything.
So he was quite supportive.
And also, I think he knows that I'm quite stubborn, so he cannot
Don't
stop
bother.
me. Yeah, he cannot stop me. So I gotta say the first 6 months to 1 year was very tough, because like I was doing cold calling, I was going for audition and everything, so the gigs were not coming in. And I was already like spending on my savings and everything. So I remember there was a period of time where I had to borrow like money from my siblings. Like, yeah, bless their heart. So I have an older sister and I have a younger brother. So I'm the middle child. And during that time, they were like, they had stable jobs and everything. They were not married yet. And I'm lucky because they are not the kind of siblings whereby, they would tell you things like, only you can pursue your dreams. Then what about our dreams?
I know. Those kind of siblings.
Yes, but they were not. They were quite supportive. I mean, my sister was quite worried also lah. So, but she was just telling me, no, I'm trying. I'll just try. So I remember I had to borrow like $50 or $100 from them, that kind of thing, to tie me up, tie me through a period of time. And I remember I was just eating like bread and instant noodle for 1 week or 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
That kind of thing, yeah. Because I didn't want to keep borrowing money. Also,
of course, yeah.
Yeah, so that was quite pathetic lah in a way, but I guess then I just persevere lor. Then somehow continue my singing in pubs And then I think reconnected with some friends back from the Muchuan times. And everybody moved on to different arena, you see. Some of them continue performing, and some of and a couple of them had like more opportunities. They have pub gigs or restaurant gigs, cafe gigs. So one of them got in touch with me and asked me whether I want to try out to sing at this cafe at East Coast. Yeah. So that kind of started everything else.
Oh.
Yeah. So and from then more opportunities came knocking lor, and the different weddings and events company also somehow is through friends that I got to know some of them, and ALD as well lor.
So it does take a while.
It took a while.
Yeah.
I would say it took me maybe 2 years to stabilize. Yeah, probably the first year was the toughest lah.
Did you not try to do any other part-time jobs?
I did not.
Wow, you're very brave.
Weirdly, I did not. So some people call me crazy, but I think to me, I feel like some people will ask me, why did you quit your job first before finding gigs and everything?
But you were unhappy.
Yes, I was
Yeah,
unhappy.
yeah.
Yeah. So they were telling me, just stay on first. At least you have the money and everything, and then after that you slowly find more gigs. And once it opens up more opportunities, right, then you can quit your job. So my mentality then was, I feel that sometimes if you don't throw yourself out there with no lifeline, right, you won't be desperate enough to really go and get what you want. Yeah.
Because you can just float along, and every month you still get the money coming in. You take your own
Yes.
sweet time.
Yes.
And sometimes things don't ever happen
Exactly.
like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not saying to be YOLO like me, but I think end of the day, you need to have something to fall back on,
Yeah.
which was why I told my dad that, I have my degree to fall back on, so you don't have to worry. But I do really believe that sometimes if you're not desperate enough, you really will not try to achieve what you want to achieve. Yeah, so that was my mentality. Yeah, so the hardest part was the first year, financially, but after that, things started to get better lah. Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to also know, like, were there anything out of your anticipation or expectation when you were transiting to music? As in, when you finally become a professional singer, then you realize that, oh, actually, I didn't discover or think about this part. Now that I'm a singer, I sort of realized that there are things I didn't consider or know about before.
Yeah, so a couple of points. One is that I had to watch my diet. Yeah, so in the beginning, the beginning phase, I was really very strict on my diet. Like a lot of, I love spicy food.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I love spicy food. I love
Fried food?
Yes, fried food and durian.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So I was very disciplined in the beginning because if you were singing every day, right, is you really don't want to fall sick, and once you fall sick, it would take a long time for your voice to come back.
And for us singers, like when you fall sick, right, you don't earn money.
Yes.
It's as simple as that, right? And then on top of it, you need to go see the doctor.
Yes.
Pay the doctor for
Exactly.
medicine.
Exactly. So we don't have benefits and everything.
No
right?
benefits at all.
Yeah. So that's the downside. So I was really watching my diet, a lot of things I couldn't eat. In the beginning, it was like, so sian, like sacrifice and everything. But you get used to it lor. Now I don't watch it as I'm not as strict as before. But then again, also I'm not singing as much as before. Yeah. And also another thing that I realized is that when you become a full-time performer, is no matter how shitty you feel on the day, or no matter what happened in your personal life, or what like tragedy happens or whatever, you still need to suck it up. You still need to just wipe your face and go off the stage, put on a smile and do a good show. I think it can get really hard sometimes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that's the part where nobody tells you until you experience it yourself.
Yeah. Sometimes you really go to a gig feeling really, really shitty.
Yes.
And you really don't even feel like singing or accommodating song requests that you really hate.
Exactly.
Or even to talk into the mic to entertain and interact, right? But you sort of know you have to.
Yeah, you know you have to. You just
Yeah.
feel like singing, finish your job, and go home and cry, but you know you cannot do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Because that's what being professional is about.
yes.
Yeah. And I think to add on to that, the reason why we say this is because people think that, the customers will be understanding if they know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what do you think about that?
they don't give a damn.
I mean, you have to spend money, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I remember this very, very clearly because some years back, I think it was 4 years back, I was performing with Kevin.
Oh, Kevin
Kevin
Kong.
Kong.
Okay.
And during my first set, I got a text from my father-in-law
Mm.
that my dog passed away.
Oh my goodness.
Tofu, remember Tofu?
Oh yes, Tofu.
Yeah. He passed
Oh
away.
my goodness.
Wow, I tell you, I was like, I cannot know. I was trying to control him, but I had to, right? So I didn't break
Yeah.
down.
Oh my god, I feel like crying now.
Yeah, it was
even.
because when I left the house, he was sick already that time.
Mm.
Yeah, but he was just I was saying bye bye to him, and then I went to work. And when I saw the message, I just wanted to break down and everything, but I couldn't. So
Mm.
during the first break, I told Kevin that sorry, I need to make a call. So I called my father-in-law, check everything. And then I had to call the undertaker. Yeah, to arrange for all the 后事 lah and
Oh
everything.
my goodness.
Yeah. So it
was it a wedding or
it was a pub.
pub? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but still, yeah.
Yeah. So then I had to pull through the two more sets before I rush home. Yeah, so that was really hard. So
Yeah.
sometimes this performance is like when we say that we don't feel up to it and everything, we're just trying to find excuse for ourselves, but a little understanding from audience sometimes would be nice,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it's also a little weird if you announce into the microphone, oh, my
Correct,
dog
correct.
just passed away.
Yes, you don't have to, but sometimes when you see that they really don't feel like PRing and everything, don't.
And maybe, the regulars will understand,
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. I think our audience will also be interested to know, how did you get into the rhythm of doing full-time music? As in, like, how is your lifestyle like as a full-time singer? In terms of the hours, or anything. Yeah.
Naturally, because like when I started out doing full time, I was not only performing at corporate functions and weddings, I was very active in the pub scene as well, which was like almost every night I was performing at pubs. So pubs, of course, the timing is later. So naturally during that time, because I wasn't married, I had no kids, so my day started out quite late because I had to make sure that I have enough sleep because that will affect my voice.
Yes.
Right? We know the pain of not having enough sleep. Yeah. So typically, just waking up, I say like after 10, that kind of thing, which now is a luxury. And then I think spending time to learn songs and adding songs into the repertoire. Yeah, and sometimes you have to meet up with client for meeting. Yeah.
To discuss about the upcoming event.
Yes, or sometimes because I do MC as well, so they want to run through the program with them. Yeah, then.
So it's quite free flow, and you plan your schedule and.
Yes, it's really like flexible, and it basically is really like running your own business. You have full control of your time, which is great, and also you can arrange for like rehearsals and everything and practice, because in the beginning when we first started out, you know, like your pool of musicians that you know are not as wide as now after being in the scene for 20 years. So a lot of times, sometimes these people that you haven't worked before, with before, so you prefer to have rehearsals and practice and everything. So it's easy to arrange when you have the free time in the day to be able to do
Because
that.
your partners may also be full timers who are free in the
Yes.
day.
Yeah.
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 Correct.
So but that kind of take a toll on the friendship that you have with your normal friends.
Oh yeah,
You know what I
you're
mean,
right.
right?
Yes,
Yes.
we're getting there.
Yes.
Your burnt weekends
Yes.
and weekday nights,
Mm.
and you really hardly get to meet them.
Yes.
And you feel so sorry, right? That you have to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I have a event this weekend, and we can't meet up. Can we change a date?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it become quite sian also. So I guess during that period of time, you slowly realize that who are your true friends and who are those friends that really understand.
Oh
Yeah, it happens. Yeah. So it's nice to have full control of your time because you're running your own business and so on. But it really will take a toll on your other personal aspect, like your friends. And also if you, like, I was dating back then, and if you happen to be dating a person who works office hours,
Oh, that's tough.
yes,
Very
yeah,
tough.
yeah, stuff like that. But generally, that's how my day goes. Very free and easy, and it really didn't feel like a job because we were doing what we like.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels like we are working non-stop as well, but it also didn't feel like work.
Yeah,
Kind of
exactly.
feeling. Yeah. So would you be able to tell us, let's say, rough range, how many songs do you know?
Wow. I don't know that. It's
I
like,
mean, I would say it's easily 200, 300,
yeah, I would
including
say,
like English, Mandarin, a bit of jazz,
yes,
retro,
yeah, correct. So yeah, probably around that range, 300 plus,
Yeah,
maybe.
and the reason I want to say this is because I think a lot of people who want to come into the industry, they would think that maybe 20 songs are enough, or okay, max 50 songs are enough. I mean, what do you think about this number of song repertoire? I mean, we do have to start from somewhere.
Yeah.
But realistically, what do you think? Based on, especially if you are somebody who wants to start performing in pubs.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. So the last point, it really depends on what you want. Yes, you want to sing for a living, but which area do you want to go? I mean, if you really solely just want to focus on events, right? Particular kind of events, I'm sure that maybe 50 to 100 songs repertoire will be just fine. You can use that and sing for a long period of time without any complaints. But if you really do want to go into the pub scene, the songs are always updating because the audiences, they listen to, sometimes the songs they listen to is like we haven't even heard of it.
Yeah, they can be like right out on the radio,
Yes.
and then you are sort of expected to know how to sing already.
Yeah. So in fact, a lot of the new songs that we know, we actually learn from the audience.
Song requests.
Yes. So they request really we don't know, right? But I would say if you want to be active in a pub, it will be your job to go back and check out the song and listen and learn what are the latest, most popular songs and constantly update yourself. Yeah. I remember when I first started out in Muchuan. So, of course, like you say, we have to start somewhere. So I have this certain amount of repertoire I have. So there was this table of customer. They keep requesting for songs, which I didn't know how to do. Yeah.
So the songs they requested were really like not popular.
I think some were. It's
Okay.
just that during that era, those popular songs, but not so popular singers, I might not know.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Not so mainstream.
Yes.
The singers may not be so mainstream.
Yeah. So I had to keep apologizing, which also made me paiseh. But the most paiseh one was, I think one of the guy was very pissed off already. So he shouted from his table. He said, 你什么歌都不会唱，还敢自己叫你自己是歌手? Yeah. You
And
know,
they don't even sell alcohol there.
yeah, exactly. So he wasn't drunk, huh? He just had a bad day, I guess.
Just very demanding for a $15
Yes.
or bubble tea.
So yeah, so I was stunned. My year became so hot.
Yeah, of course. I
Yeah.
mean, it's public humiliation. Yeah, you're questioning my professionalism, my knowledge as a singer. It's quite humiliating. Yeah.
Yeah. So but it's a learning curve lah. So that prompted me to really, go and brush up and added more songs into my repertoire to constantly learn new songs and also learn how to handle difficult customers, how to not say talk back, but how to interact with them in a more in a better way, I guess. Yeah, instead of just leave it hanging. So people might see us as, oh, you're just singing, right? You're just sitting there and singing so comfortable and then you get paid. But there are a lot more to it actually that people don't know. Yeah.
I mean, the kind of work we do before appearing on the stage to perform, people may not be aware of the number of hours we had to sit down to learn a song. Because what do you think about this? Like, learning a song is not just like, listening to it and then, what do you do to really learn a song well? Good enough for performance.
So constantly listening to it, of course, and then while you're listening to it, you're reading the lyrics and trying to understand the song. And for songs that are not of your primary language, because we have to learn like dialect songs and even Japanese songs or other languages songs. So you have to rewrite the lyrics out in a way that you understand.
Yeah.
So it's not just listening to it.
There's homework, a lot of work to be done, right?
Yeah. And there are sometimes when you listen to some songs, right, it sounds, oh, this one very easy, what? The melody, very easy. Okay, no problem. But then after listening to it, you're more familiar and you start to sing it, right? You realize that certain pitch is not as easy to control as you think. So it's like after listening to it, you need to try to attempt to sing it out. So different steps lah.
Yeah. I want to take you to the question that got me very intrigued with you in the first place. Because just now you were talking about like handling, difficult customers and all that. That must be so difficult for an introvert. That's, something I would say that you probably didn't think about, because for the very first thing that you should be thinking about, maybe as an introvert, is how do I even get myself on stage? Right?
Yeah.
Like how, because I think you mentioned about how shy you were as a child, but you love singing, so much.
Yeah. Maybe I mentioned that my dad is a singer. So he loves to sing. He's a very good singer. And he used to sing me songs every night before I sleep.
Oh.
Yeah, when I was younger. So and then growing up, I remember my household, there's always constantly a lot of music playing, like a lot of cassette tapes. My mom was a big fan of Feng Fei Fei, so constantly I would hear her songs, I would see Feng Fei Fei's face on the TV. My sister loves music as well. She had this whole collection of music and this thick book of lyrics that she wrote herself. So it's all this influence. And primary school, I was in choir. I joined choir. I did performances. And then after that, when I went to secondary school, but I remember like I was a victim of like bully, like people bully me. I didn't really know how to. So, but I didn't know how to tell anybody, even my family.
Okay.
I didn't tell. So, I think I had a problem with expressing myself. Yeah, when I was young. So I guess by singing is my way of expressing. Yeah, that's why I love singing and I love music so much. And then my clique of friends were not huge also. And then moving on to secondary school, there was a period of time I was ostracized also for some reason. Girls' school again. So
When you say you had issues expressing yourselves, what do you mean by that? As in, like, you couldn't. When the teacher asks you, to answer a question, you
I was very afraid of being called.
okay.
Yeah, so I'll just like look down, don't call me, don't call me. Call me. I can tell you now, if you ask any of the teachers, right, they hardly remember me. I don't think anyone of
You
them
didn't make
remember
an
me.
impression.
Yes, no, I didn't make an impression.
It's the quiet girl over there
Yeah, and I
who is
was
now a singer.
exactly. So a lot of my close friends until today, they will tell me like, I cannot believe that you're a singer. Like if you tell them back in school, who would believe?
Yeah.
Yeah. So um, I guess I get affected very easily by what people say, and but I will just bottle it up, and then I'll become very grumpy and angry.
Yeah, marinate inside, right?
Yes, yes. But like when people ask me that I don't want to say it out. I just don't know why. Was it because I was afraid of making people angry, or I was afraid of conflict? I'm also not sure. You know, so that was me. So very easily irritated. Yeah. And I like last time, if you ask me to just strike up a chat with random strangers, I can never do that. I like in poly, in secondary school, I had problem the moment that we have to do presentation. Wow, then I'll start to like freak out already.
Actually, we are really similar. I feel like you're telling my life story.
That's how we can hit it out, you see.
And then what happened during presentations?
So just have to very nervous. I used to get like stomach ache.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, when I was nervous, yeah. Then I have to do a lot of prep work.
Yeah.
And cue cards and everything. And I remember in the beginning when I was doing presentation, I would like tremble also. Yeah, I don't really know where to look. Yeah, so it was just a blur during presentation.
So what made you, with this kind of personality, right? How do you even put yourself on stage?
Yeah, it's very weird, right? It's very weird. So but like I said, I enjoy singing, right? But putting myself on stage is another thing.
Exactly.
So I think the changing point was after secondary school, I went to poly. So during the poly open house, right? I remember all of us, not open house, orientation, sorry. So orientation, all of us new students, we attended orientation. It was at the huge auditorium, which there was some speeches and there was performances as well. So I told myself, I say, how I wish that I can perform here during the next orientation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I really did.
Because you joined the club.
No, I took part in a singing competition.
What does?
Okay, so when I went to after secondary school, right? After secondary school and poly, during that few years, that period, for some reason I went berserk. I went around taking part in competition.
Oh.
In like whatever, like organized by CC or community club and everything. Yeah, I was still not comfortable on stage.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like,
yes,
there's so much fear, but you still want to do it.
Yes, it's like I just enjoy singing. It's like, why not? So I went around taking part lor, and I was if you see me on stage singing, it's like cannot lie. It's like you can tell, oh, she's very nervous kind, yeah, but somehow
Did you win anything actually?
those that I took part outside, no.
That's the funny thing, right?
Yeah.
Yet you became professional.
Yeah, it's very funny. So I took part in because I was studying marketing in poly. So during the first year, the School of Business organized this singing competition. My friend was like, "Hey, try lah, please just try." Initially, I didn't want to. They said, "Just try lah." Okay, so they filled the form up for me. So I went on, and then I took part, and I got third.
Oh, not bad.
I think I got third. And I was singing Ame's song, okay?
Wow.
I was singing Ame's Hi 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 song. Like you need to dance and everything. I don't know what was wrong with me. But anyway, yeah, so I did that and I came in third. So for them it's like I think the top three they get to perform during orientation for the following
Oh,
year.
I see.
So I really did perform. And it was at that moment I was like, it felt so good, and I realized that actually dreams do come true if you really work towards it.
Yeah, you must take active steps.
Exactly.
Even though you may be scared inside lah. Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
So that kind of gave me more confidence. And it was after that, um, after my poly, I took part in a singing competition organized by Mu Chuan. It was for public. Yeah, so I took part. I got into the finals. I didn't win, but they wrote all the finalists into the cafe to sing.
This is exactly my life story too.
It's
I didn't win too.
Oh, you took part in the competition also?
Which year was it? Oh my god, wait.
I think
Was it the year that Wang Fuhua was?
2002.
I think you are you are of a younger batch than me.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure. We're different. I'm older than you. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
mine
yeah.
was 2002.
So that's how they sort of recruit the good singers into the cafe to sing
Yes.
part time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was how it started. Yeah.
Okay. And then you realize that when you actually perform in a cafe, it's not just singing, right? Okay, so we're back, but this time on Zoom. I have to say that this interview really, takes so much effort to manifest into the real world, because it's actually our third time meeting for this.
Yes.
Yeah, so we actually couldn't finish doing it face to face for 2 times because of technical glitches and whatever that is. Yeah, so thank you, Phoebe, for taking your time again to meet
No
me.
problem.
I think, it shows how persistent we are to really want to bring our messages to everybody, and we stopped at a very interesting point where, so we went into Muchuan, right? And then that's when we realized that it's not just about performing. There's also the audience interaction part that we were ill prepared to take on as a very new singer. So do you have anything to talk about that?
We really need to be more hardworking and really go and brush up on all the more songs, adding more songs into our repertoire. Because at that time at that cafe, you also know that the influx of requests is really a lot, one.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. So people really, because they don't sell alcohol there, people don't go there to drink. They really just go there and listen to the band.
that's so true. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the beginning. Then after that, I also got some tips from seniors, mentors. Yu Xuan was the one who told me, say that, you don't dare to look customers straight in the eye, then look at their eyebrow. Nobody will know that you're looking at their eyebrow. But at least it looks like you are really like looking at them. It will make you appear more confident. Yeah.
I'm looking at your eyebrows now.
Yeah, see, I can't tell. Right? Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was that. Then after that, I think it took years of singing and performing on stage to really build up the layers of skin on your face to make it thicker and thicker. And ultimately you learn not to take yourself too seriously and learn not to be embarrassed anymore, how to throw back questions at customers without sounding rude and everything, I guess. Yeah, so I'm very thankful for all those years at the cafe. Honestly, I'm sure you are too, right?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I mean, it was like a kindergarten for us, but it's fundamental.
Yes.
I didn't mean to say it's not important. It's actually fundamental in that sense, because that's when we built our confidence, our interaction skills, our repertoire, and then that's how we could actually fly off to higher grounds from there on. Yeah.
Exactly.
But I wanted to talk about, like, the judgment thing. During this phase, right? Did you ever feel like you're always judging yourself and taking yourself very negatively after every gig? Did those kind of negative feelings happen to you at the beginning, or how did you get rid of those feelings?
Yes, actually it did. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
it happens to
all of us performer at the beginning, because you see, why we are performers is because we all like attention, right?
To a certain extent.
To a certain extent.
You must like it.
Correct.
Otherwise, don't bother. Yeah.
Yes. And we want to look good. We want to put our best self out there. You know. So when things don't go our way, especially in the beginning, when you have setbacks like that, right? You feel very sucky, you feel very lousy, and you keep on harping on it. Yeah, I was like that. Because since young, I think I mentioned before. So since young, I'm not the kind whereby I can easily talk about my feelings. I will just bottle everything up, and that's why I always appear very grumpy and emotional when I was growing up. Yeah, like then people will say that, oh, typical Scorpio lah, typical Scorpio. Yeah.
No. That's my life story too. I'm Pisces. I think it's just the, people who in general cannot express themselves and bottle up their emotions, and yeah.
Yeah. So I very unhealthy law, think about it. But then I guess also age plays a part. Is as we grow older, a lot of things don't really bother us as they used to. Or rather, you don't really give a shit about give a damn about it. So it was, and I tell you the most silly thing that people's comment and opinion matters to me so much and I wanted to appear my best, right? When I was starting out, okay, I've been wearing specs all my life. Okay, but when I was starting out, right, I had a fear of wearing contact lens. Yeah, because I was like, I scared I don't know how to take it out.
Oh wow, okay.
The whole idea of using my finger,
to put it touching the eyeball,
yes, it grosses me out. So I didn't dare to wear contact lens. Okay, and last time my degree was like, I think was like 200 plus, 300 plus, that kind of thing. But honestly, without spec, right, it's still kind of blur lah. So what I did was I want to appear like pretty, right, on stage, right, to get the kind of attention, but yet I don't dare to wear contact lens. So I go on stage without specs, without contact lens. So with those like big printed lyrics, right, I just put there. Then I try to squint. It's like very loser lah. For years, no, I tried to do that at the cafe. Yeah.
Oh.
I just refuse to be seen on stage with spectacles. But yet,
But you look so good with spectacles now. So it's just like a concept, right?
Yes, correct. Correct. Yeah, so it matters to me a lot what other people think of me.
Right.
Yeah, so it was bad until I screen. I think I cannot screen already. So I decided to try on contact lens.
Oh wow.
But nowadays, sometimes when I run out of contact lens, I just don't care. I wear specs now and go on stage already. Doesn't really matter to me anymore. So
I think it's the power of the 40s versus the 20s. It's just very different.
Yeah. And I think it's amazing, that feeling of, like
whatever.
Yes. Yeah. You can say whatever you want of me lah. I mean, yeah.
All right, that's amazing. So, as we already know, you've done this for like 20 years, what advice do you have for people who are trying to do singing professionally, whether it's part-time or full-time? What kind of advice would you give them?
Like through the years at the cafe, sometimes I have mentored like younger singers, performers before. They just came into the scene, but that was last time. I'm not too sure about the generation now, but I always tell them the same thing. Even until now, some of my friends, I told them the same thing also. It's like, see, singing is a skill set that you can learn. You can always constantly improve. If you don't think you're a good singer now, it's okay, keep practicing, and somehow your skills will improve. You'll get better. But I feel more importantly, if you want to, have a longer lifespan in this industry, similar to all other industries, I feel it's all about your attitude sometimes. It's like there are bound to have people giving you feedback, whether it's constructive or not. And your attitude, your work ethics, you know, being on time,
Mm.
being kind, respectful of those seniors, and even being nice to people who are not as senior as you.
Mm.
Uh, I've always been a firm believer in that. So with good attitude, right, it will get you somewhere.
Mm.
Yeah, and if you're easy to work with, even though you might not be the best instrumentalist or the best singer, but then there are always someone better than you see.
Mm.
Yeah, so
And sometimes talent is not everything. Like, for example, I used to be an agent. I would rather work with people who are easy to work with.
yeah,
I mean, not necessarily like they're walkovers, no, but they don't give problems. They have good attitude.
mm,
Whether they are the best in Singapore, whatever, it does not matter because you can be so talented and so sought after. But if it's so hard to reach you, you're not accessible, you're always replying my messages so late, not responsive. That's what you're talking about, right? The attitude of like,
yes,
because live band
yes,
is a team effort
yes,
in that
exactly.
sense. Yeah.
Mm,
And also just
correct.
to maybe, add on to what you said, there are also singers who are like a bit, I won't use the B word, but like for example, if the guitarist or the pianist, play something wrongly, they can give a death stare and everything is just
Yeah,
exposed on stage,
yes, yes,
Yeah, but
correct.
from the, customer's point of view, they're like, wow, this, what is this? Like, is there internal
Mm,
conflict or whatever? It doesn't look nice on stage as well. Things like that.
exactly, exactly. So like you say, it's a team effort.
Yeah.
So really, I always believe what goes around comes around. Like,
Mm.
uh, you just bottom line is be just empathize and be kind because you never know that someone who are more maybe not as senior as you
Mm.
um one final day they could be doing better than us or whatnot, but
Mm.
yeah,
Because
it's ever
fame
changing.
is a strange thing. It can hit anybody.
Yeah,
And people that you don't think they'll be famous, they can suddenly be famous and, that kind of thing. I mean, not that it
yeah.
matters, but I think it's just important to be respectful to anyone.
Mm,
Yeah. Mm.
exactly. So that's what I think lah. Yeah lor. That I mean, if you want to be in this industry, yeah lah, you need to have proper work ethic. So I think some people I guess some people think that, oh, this job is like
Mm.
it's kind of like freelancing. You handle your own work schedule. It's very flexible, but you treat it like a career. And I feel that
Mm.
with those attitude, with those
Mm.
the kind of morals or ethics that you have, it will bring you somewhere. At least
Mm.
you'll have a stable string of jobs that will come in.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
That's how I feel.
I want to go back a little bit about what I said earlier, like when your pianist or guitarist plays something wrong,
Mm.
what do you think is the right way to go about that? That means at that moment, right, when it happens, what would you usually do? And after the performance, what would you usually do?
I think nowadays, right, whenever people play wrong, if you're talking about like playing the wrong key, because it's
Uh,
obviously not my key. So what I'll do is I won't make a face at the audience, but I will just turn back and say, wrong key, wrong key. Like
mm,
that lah. And let them know.
mm,
But basically it's not letting the audience know that anything is wrong on stage.
mm, mm,
I'll let them know so that because sometimes they really like it. I mean, I make mistake too.
mm.
Nobody is perfect. I make mistake
Right,
too.
right.
I sing wrong before. Uh yeah. So I'll just let them know and then they will change. And I mean wrong notes and everything. It happens lah. Live and let live.
Mm, mm,
So after that, generally I don't really want to have I don't really have a discussion with them, like a serious
mm,
discussion with them after that. But
mm.
we'll just laugh about it, I
Yeah.
guess.
Mm,
Yeah, nowadays lah, unless it's a
mm,
really, really like dire and serious mistake, then
mm,
I will just after the set, then we'll just have a talk like I say, hey, just now what happened? Why? So it's a you can talk about it, but most importantly, it's the tone of how you say it.
mm.
Yeah. And many a times all these people they're my seniors too. Yeah. So even though
Especially
I
when you
am
first started out, they can still be seniors and play wrongly. It's
yes,
still
yes.
possible, yeah.
Yeah, so even after 20 years in the industry, sometimes when I'm not feeling well or what, my mind is just not there, I can do wrong things too.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important to hear from you because I think a lot of beginner singers or they want to form bands of their own and they partner with people and then they don't know the communication part, and it can be tough to get a live band going,
Yes.
because it's usually not about the music, it's usually about the communication skills and
Yes.
how do you communicate amongst your group members and to have continuity in that sense.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah, but I think from a professional standpoint, it's never to make your band members look bad on stage.
yeah, exactly.
Right, that's so important, right? Because then
Yes.
it always leaves a bitter taste in the customers or the audience's mouth, like, wow, what are they doing on stage, that kind of
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think for you and me, now
Mm,
we focuses on corporate events and weddings,
mm,
one-off gigs more.
mm,
So I think the more important it is to take note of this line, live and let live. I mean, it's a one-off gig.
mm,
Unless it's something really shitty happens, then you talk
mm,
about it.
mm,
But most of the time is everybody just want to have a good show.
mm,
Yeah. But if that compared to you having your own
mm,
band, having a regulars, which I have done before last time at Shuffle, is very different. So the communication for you have a band itself, a brand name by itself, that one is even more challenging, which we have
mm,
experienced before. We constantly have serious meetings and discussion, but
mm,
you learn along the way, and like what you said, communication is very important. That determines how long a band can stay together.
mm.
Yeah, yeah, lah.
That's why we hear of bands breaking up and all that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I have one last question for you. Actually, it could sound a bit repetitive. I'm not sure, but you just share whatever's on your mind. But what
Mm.
what kind of mindset do you think is necessary, to have lasting power as a professional singer in the industry? Because, like I think it's one thing to try to break into the scene, but it's another thing to be able to do this, for 10 years, 20 years, and what do you think are the important conditions or mindset to last this long?
Mm. It's basically it's very similar to running your own business, right?
Mm.
What we are doing is basically very
Yeah, yeah,
similar to
yeah.
running our own
Yes.
business.
Mm.
It's just that we don't have anybody to report to, but our voice is our main asset.
Mm.
And I feel that discipline, um,
Our voice and our look.
sorry, yeah,
Our
exactly.
voice and our look.
Yes.
I sound very superficial and bimbo, but it's not. It's entertainment,
Yeah, it's
right?
entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's part and parcel of the job.
Mm.
So being disciplined, like when I first started out,
Mm.
I really was very disciplined when it comes to my diet. Like
Mm.
no chili, no durian, no fried stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, no chocolate, because to preserve my voice. Because in the beginning, I was like singing regularly, almost every night at pubs, and then doing events as well. So if you're not disciplined, right, once you fall sick, your voice is gone, and that's it.
Mm.
You see, yeah. So it not only and it creates a lot of problem for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
true, it's true. It's the trying to find a replacement. But every time we fall sick, it's not just about losing the income. We still have to go and see a doctor and pay
Yeah.
for the medical bills ourselves because we're not, we can't claim
Yes.
bills from anybody. It's irritating.
Yeah. So it's a lot of factors, like you need to fork out additional money. You're losing income, but yet you need to go and see doctor.
Mm,
At the same time, you you keep stressing yourself about when my voice will come back.
mm,
Initially, when I started falling sick, right, because like vocal cord is a muscle, right? So
mm,
you slowly need to build up, and you're not used to it in the beginning because I was singing almost every night. So I tend to fall sick and lose my voice very easily.
mm,
It comes to a point whereby I asked the doctor, it's like, is there any way to bring my voice back faster? So there was a time where they told me that injection can help,
mm. The
right?
steroids, right? Yeah.
Yes, which I took once or twice, no, and it
I've
really
never
came
tried it
back.
before. I
I've
was so
tried it,
scared. How was
yeah,
it?
but I was desperate, so I did,
Right.
and my voice really came back.
Wow.
But not long
Okay.
after, I lost it again.
Oh, okay.
yeah, then I realized that okay, this cannot go on. Then after I think the 2 times I've stopped and I really like just take it easy and try to bring back my voice the natural way. Yeah, so it's better. So discipline is one thing. And then the next thing I feel is something very simple, but yet not a lot of us can do it, which is not to compare. You know what I mean? Because like I said, right, all of us performer in this scene, we are doing what we are doing because we love attention. We crave attention. And when you are craving attention, especially in this current time when social media is so rampant,
Right.
right? So all
Yeah.
the performance, be it instrumentalists or performers or singers, they will constantly post about their gig.
Yeah, I performed here
Right.
today, I performed there today, the
Yes,
kind, yeah.
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 So if you let it get to you, then you will start to compare. How come this person is getting more gig than me? Am I doing something wrong? Am I doing not enough? Am I not good enough? Am I like not pretty enough and everything? And it will affect your mental health, you see. So if you want to be in this scene, you have to remember that there are peak period lah, and there are lull period. And for everybody it's different. I mean, there
And
will
there are
be some days where
some years that are better, some years that are a bit
exactly
like
correct. So like for
right.
example, next year is a dragon year. Probably there will be more gigs.
I know if we
I'm not
believe in
sure.
this kind of things, right? Some years are really better than others.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So end of the day is, I mean, sometimes it affects me too. So then I try not to browse too much of social media, and I guess end of the day is, everybody started out at different point in time, and everybody peaks at different point in time as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, lor. So you just got to know that
Maybe
as
when you were really at your peak for some years, those people were like having a lull period.
exactly.
You never know, right?
Exactly.
Because you
Yeah.
just always look at what you are missing out on. Yeah, but when you're in your glorious form, you're just basking in your own happiness. You don't really look at people who are in the
Yes.
shadows in that sense.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And that is something so simple, but yet it's so hard to understand. So yeah, so there are ups and downs. You really have to know how to get through it. Yeah, in order to have the mindset, like you want to have lasting, you want to last in this industry lah. Yeah. Like if after 20 years, 15 years full time, there are days where there are months whereby I don't really do. I don't get much gigs, especially now that I don't do regulars anymore. So so it comes and goes, but just make sure that whenever you have a gig, you have a booking, you just got to do your best lor, and have the best attitude lor, and then you will attract more things to come lah. I feel the mindset is very important lah. Yeah.
Yeah, because I also know of musicians who they actually always appear very negative about like, oh, I don't have enough gigs, and there's a victim mindset. And actually it makes everybody feel very uncomfortable around them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe the person just wants to remind everyone, hey, can you give me more gigs? But it turns out it can actually backfire. It's like, oh, he's always so negative to be around with. I'd rather not work with him. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean. And it's true. So it's really the mind over matters lah.
Yeah.
I feel. Yeah. So yeah lah. So just gotta take it easy, and that's what I've been teaching my kids also. So not to compare. It's really tough, but it's something that once you learn how to do right, you really become a happier person.
Right. Because I think sometimes we forget that there's only one of us in this world. So we are already unique in that sense. Yeah. So of course we can try to reflect and see how else we can improve. But it doesn't mean that when people are getting more gigs, then there's something wrong with us. Maybe it really is just the period thing that's going on, and we just have to ride on it lah.
Yeah, and different clients look for different things, right? Not everybody is different. So yeah, you sell different things, your selling point is different.
All right, so I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for sharing so much with us and meeting me 3 times to finish this off.
You are welcome. It's like, but it's good lah because we haven't caught up like for so long, right? And then just
I
took this chance
know.
to catch up.
Yeah, and the funny thing is I've worked with Phoebe for like, so long. I never
Mm,
really get the chance, or we never thought about like hanging out. I think it's because just me as an agent, I prefer to keep things very, like with boundaries. Because when the boundary is too blurred, sometimes it's quite hard emotionally for me. Yeah. But I really appreciate your
mm.
time because the things you say in this interview is so precious, gonna be so precious for many people. I believe that.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, like I told you, right, I love sharing, so I haven't got much chance to share. So thank you so much for giving me this chance to share.
Hey there, want more of such content? Click like and subscribe.